In a blurry image, skyscrapers tower overhead.
Every day, it's a bit of a miracle. Millions of people go to work, interacting in a complex web of interdependency. We communicate across cubicles and across country with equal speed. In a world of technology-based global connections, equal access defines success.
Having assistive technology available makes it possible to have people on your workforce who may not have been able to work before, not because they weren't qualified, but because the necessary tools weren't available.
And now they are. These are the stories of 4 people who make technology work for them.
With a keyboard in the background, the title reads, Access to Technology in the Workplace, in our own words. A woman works at a computer, with writer Nan Hawthorne.
I have my dream job. I have the job I've wanted and loved since I knew how to write. I mean, I wrote my first short story at 7. That's how much I've loved writing.
Nan Hawthorne is a freelance writer. She works at home, but not really alone.
The people I work with are terrific, and it's all internet. I've never laid eyes on any of them. The main office is in Manhattan, and my editor is in Baraboo, Wisconsin. We have our meetings via Yahoo Messenger, which works for him because he has cerebral palsy and doesn't speak well.
Nan has a form of macular degeneration which left her with no central vision from an early age.
Generally, in my experience, people think about blindness in terms of how it would impact them, not how you experience it. And they assume they would not be able to do their jobs. But these days, with computers and high technology and the internet, that's really not an issue anymore, simply because your eyes are not always necessary for everything. There's quite often another way of doing it.
At a computer.
Nan uses several types of assistive technology, including screen magnification software and products that read the text on the screen aloud.
Keeping up to date with present technologies available to the blind.
She puts a magazine on a scanner.
She uses a scanner for printed materials such as magazine articles, then listens as her screen reader delivers the content with a synthesized voice.
Scanning.
The independence of having equipment like that is really wonderful. I use it for books, I use it for articles, I use it for websites. I use this magnification to look around a website to find what it is I want to read, and then I use a screen reader to read it.
Most graphic web browsers have built-in features that help people with low vision. They allow fonts to be resized so that users can view web content in a font that works best for their eyesight and screen resolution. This benefits everyone, but web designers have to support it by using fonts that are resizable rather than fixed font sizes.
Nan also uses a closed-circuit TV monitor to read papers or to fill out forms.
I came up with a saying once that disability isn't a problem, it's a solution in progress. And I think that's very accurate.
Nan is quite right. Solutions are in progress. More and more mainstream products have built-in features such as the assistive technology Nan uses, and often these features are used by people with and without disabilities.
In an office, another woman works on a laptop computer. Mia.
Mia Lipner is a software tester at Microsoft.
What Microsoft does, and what I think is a best practice for any company, is when you're interviewing a potential employee and they are a person with a disability, that you are paying attention to their strengths and talents and the reason you were interested in them in the first place, and have less attention to what might be perceived as drawbacks or limitations. Assistive technology allows a user with a disability to access elements of a software application, especially if they can't use the standard modes of interacting with the software. I use a screen reader. If I need to read a document, I can use the screen reader, and it speaks it aloud with a synthesized speech output. I have a Braille display that also works as a note taker. So it's more like a little notebook computer, but it also has a single line Braille display that I can use either as a standalone device to take to meetings, so I can write notes without speech output. The other things that are possible with this device is that I can hook it up to my computer and have it actually be a Braille display.
Again, it's important for everyone to consider accessibility, including employers who are making purchasing decisions, And mainstream software and web developers must create products and content that are compatible with assistive technology. Thinking about these issues from the beginning helps avoid costly redesigns later.
A door with a Microsoft logo reads Accessibility Lab.
It's been improving, really. I've seen many more companies, many more websites starting to think about it a little more. But as far as accessibility is concerned, there's room for improvement for everybody.
For some organizations, technology has to be accessible by law. For example, Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act requires that electronic and information technology developed, procured, maintained, or used by the federal government must be accessible. This includes websites, computer hardware and software, information kiosks, and virtually everything else you can think of as electronic and information technology.
A man uses sign language at his computer. Mark Toscher, account manager.
You can feel lost in the communication environment. You know, everybody's talking. You're not hearing what they're saying. You can't hear what's happening on TV. You can't hear the radio. You know, just average conversations in the hall, ambient conversations. I wish we'd had some technology for that when I was younger.
Today, Mark Toscher is an account manager at Sprint. He covers 3 western states, monitoring contracts, providing customer support, and offering outreach information. His favorite technology is the video relay service, a way of making phone calls through his computer.
The video relay service allows me to use sign language with an interpreter through the computer, and we have a webcam set up. The interpreter can see me, and I can see the interpreter. The interpreter calls to a hearing person, and I sign to them my message, and he voices what I say, and when he responds, he signs it back to me. Technical issues that come up with a video relay service, there are a lot of different things that can cause some kind of technical glitches. For example, firewall issues. That would block me from seeing the interpreter. So we have to work around the firewall sometimes to resolve that issue. That's one possibility. Another one is that the picture quality may not be as good as it could be. We have to tweak it a little bit and set it up right. Check the line, and there's a lot of troubleshooting involved there.
The video relay service requires a high-speed internet connection and a webcam.
A monitor reads, connecting to relay.
Mark also uses Sprint Relay Online, which needs only a phone and a computer. He uses it with his laptop while traveling.
If I need to make a call, I just have an operator there. I can call to a hearing person and have a conversation. I just have to type, and then they'll read what I type to the hearing person. The hearing person will respond. The relay will type that to me through the computer.
Later.
I think the team pulled together and did an excellent job.
For meetings or for conference calls, Mark may use an interpreter. And for quick access, his pager is always available.
This pager is an alphanumeric pager. I use it to communicate with other team members. We can go back and forth. And it has a keyboard on it, which I can type, and it sends an email. Other people tend to use cell phones. I use my pager as my cell phone.
With Terry Thompson.
One problem Mark has is with video, which is not accessible to him unless captions are provided. For federal government offices, this is a requirement under Section 508, and many state governments, schools, and universities require that multimedia be captioned as well. Captions are also helpful for people who are working in noisy environments or for those whose first language is different than the one spoken in the video. And captioning helps in indexing and archiving multimedia so that it can be searched in the same way as text documents.
A man at a desk puts on a headset. Mark.
Mark Fristow is a rights and responsibilities counselor for students at Renton Technical College.
It's not the fact that I'm in a wheelchair or that I have a disability that prevents me or anybody else with a disability from being part of the greater workforce, if you will. I think it's more about people's attitudes and the ability for those individuals to see us, to see people with disabilities as being equals. A number.
He works at a computer.
Of students.
Since Mark has limited use of his hands, he prefers using speech recognition software rather than a keyboard. He uses a headset both for talking to his computer and talking on the telephone.
I would consider that assistive technology, considering at one time nobody used headsets. Even if you don't have a disability problem, if you're trying to do this with the telephone and trying to write stuff, and then the thing's falling down and all that kind of stuff all the time.
Outside, he goes to the front door.
Many of the accommodations or technology innovations, if you will, that were originally for people with disabilities have actually helped the public in general. Automatic door openers help people when their arms are full. Ramps so that you can get things in and out of buildings probably have been as great a help as anything.
In the office, shared equipment is within Mark's reach.
You want the copier machine at least at a level that you can reach all the controls on. Also be able to lift up the plate and where the copy goes and things of that nature. Those are all important things.
With Terry.
Copiers with easy-to-access controls and a lightweight lid, caption multimedia, software that's compatible with a wide variety of input and output devices, and websites with resizable fonts are some of the many good design practices. They make technology accessible to people with disabilities, and they benefit other workers as well. Built-in accessibility features make everyone's job easier.
You really can't talk about being a diverse workplace and all those kinds of things if you don't have the ability to accommodate a variety of different things. And disability just happens to be one of them.
Mark sits in his office.
More information about accessible electronic and information technology can be obtained from ITAC. That's Information Technology Technical Assistance and Training Center at www.ittatc.org or 1-866-948-8282. And from DO-IT, that's Disabilities, Opportunities, Internetworking, and Technology at www.washington.edu/DOIT or 1-206-685-DOIT. This product was developed as a collaborative effort of ITAC and DO-IT. It was primarily funded by the National Institute on Disability and Rehabilitation Research of the U.S. Department of Education, Cooperative Agreement H133A000405, and the National Science Foundation, Cooperative Agreement HRD 0227995. Any information, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this material are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the federal government. Copyright 2004, Georgia Institute of Technology and University of Washington.
Video description provided by the Narrative Television Network.